One person versus tens of thousands slashing them down is, of course, an uneven match. The one person should not be expected to not revert into a perceived lower version of themselves, as their mental faculties are immediately depleted. Do not pretend you don't realize this. It is exactly what everyone wants, so the criticism can be perpetuated through her exasperated reactions. It is very much gaslighting to say she started the drama when it was clearly the channels amping everyone up and creating this tidal wave of hate towards her. You are right, Gabbie is not flawless. You are wrong to think or assume she should be. Nobody should be flawless, point blank. It is our responsibility as a consumer to understand what will hurt us and how to cope with what people with a platform say and do. If they are doing something truly hurtful to you, it would be best to cut ties completely to the situation and not call more attention to it, for the sake of them not getting more views, more power to influence more people poorly. Clearly, Gabbie must not really be a threat because people are all excited to keep calling attention to her. The only exception to ignoring the cause of harm, of course, is when someone is engaging in criminal acts, crossing boundaries, and not just for pushing your buttons and for not being as gracious as you think they should be. I will humor everyone and say that Gabbie may have not been the most perfect person on the planet when people felt she should have been. But she is allowed to be hurt, she's allowed to feel disrespected, she's allowed to be imperfect and complex, she's allowed a moment or a million of weakness, but I see her vulnerability as a strength. It is her fight for authenticity, and she has not caved into the pressure. You think that having a bad reputation is her hell, but I get the impression it is her inability to be authentic that terrifies her most. Trying to rip that from her by criticizing every aspect of her character is downright cruel. Her intuition on how a person treats her is far more important and trustworthy than ours that can only play off what we see and hear by a stranger through a screen. Of course, anyone who is personally hurt by Gabbie can take advantage of their platform and their viewers to undermine the person that hurt their feelings, in this case, Gabbie Hanna, in a situation where they themselves must feel powerless. That is no one else's problem, and you are lessening their chance to attempt civil discourse with that individual and grow. In this case, Gabbie can't possibly have civil discourse with hundreds of thousands of individuals. It appears to me that Gabbie is learning to use the ostracization as a source of taking back her power, which is so amazing. So I commend her in her growth. And for every person that says she doesn't work on herself, they are clearly so wrong. It would take nearly an impossible amount of resilience to keep living your life freely when you know one small thing will set the mob loose on you. I have always seen someone with a big heart and a lot of passion with Gabbie. Everyone who is constantly triggered by her, I'm going to call it now. That sounds like a you problem. I wish you the best of luck in learning how to love yourself, because that is everyone's birthright. Drama channels would be all too happy to deflect by using the Gabbie is dramatic narrative, wouldn't they? I put myself in the shoes of someone who makes money on gossip, and I immediately feel pretty unsettled. There's potentially a lot of good people who started out with the intention to spread interesting perspectives and important information about actual criminals, but got wrapped up in their own drama and keep playing it up to keep the momentum going. Everyone who believes what these channels are saying and use it to summon hatred for Gabbie have fallen victim to being exploited by these very drama channels. They are really good at pointing the finger. You are likely to take any opportunity to cast judgment. It is a symbiotic relationship between the leader and the mob. The deflection I see from the mob seems to be about a greater fear of making a misstep in this chaotic world and scary society. It's easy to dehumanize someone you see as having everything and watch where they land after they fall, rather than to risk being an independent thinker, willing to take on their personal weaknesses head on and risk looking foolish and having what little they feel they have taken from them. I understand it, but I don't approve of this behavior of tearing others down for simple mistakes, especially mistakes that we are all making and choosing to ignore, and funneling this self loathing and shame into scapegoating and gaslighting someone because they are not seen as human. I see people that are only prolonging and perpetuating their insecurities, and I know damn well that you are more likely to have profound joy in your life if you learn to look through a lens of love rather than hate. A lens of love chooses to observe with the intention to understand and not just to criticize. Listen to understand, not just to respond.